So imagine standing in front of 70,000 people. They're all staring at you. They're all expecting something great from you. And you're getting ready to sing a song. But you've forgotten every single lyric. What do you do? Well, that happened to me. And it was a nightmare. And it's just one of the stories that I'm going to tell you today about what happens when things go horribly wrong on stage. So it was a beautiful summer morning in Clisson, France. I think that's how you pronounce it, Clisson. It's where the Hellfest Festival is, which is one of the largest heavy metal and hard rock festivals in Europe. And my band 6am was there because we were one of the performing artists. And we were on our bus just kind of hanging out, getting ready for our set. So as we're sitting there, we get a text from David Draiman, who is the lead singer of the rock band Disturbed, who at the time had a massive hit with that song, Sound of Silence. So Disturbed was actually, I think they were one of the headliners that day. If not, they were way high up on the bill, so they had a really great slot in the evening. And because 6am was not as big of a band at the time, our set was much earlier in the day. Anyway, David texted us and said, "Hey guys, do you want to come up on stage with us and perform a version of Motley Crue's Shout at the Devil?" Because Nikki Sixx, who is the bass player in 6am, obviously was also in Motley Crue. So it seemed like a really cool idea. And it was a really cool idea, especially because 6am was still really trying to establish ourselves. We had had a couple of hits and people knew who we were, but we were trying to build our career. So it was a great opportunity for us to be able to go on stage with a band as big as Disturbed, because we'd be performing for an even larger audience and hopefully we could win over some new fans. Now, the only problem was that I was familiar with the song. Of course, everyone knows Shout at the Devil by Motley Crue, but I had never sat down and learned the lyrics, and there are a lot of lyrics in that song. So I immediately pulled up the lyrics on my phone and started studying them. And I gotta tell you, man, I put myself under a lot of pressure. I was nervous. So I sat there for a few hours on the bus, just frantically studying these lyrics, trying as hard as I could to memorize them. And of course, at some point, we had to go do our set for 6am, which we did, and had a great set and just a great crowd. And then I raced back to the bus so that I could keep on studying these lyrics. So anyway, fast forward to showtime. Disturbed was on stage having a killer set. The crowd is just going crazy. And we're standing side stage getting ready to get called up. And at a certain point in the set, David announces, "We've got a special guest tonight. We've got 6am coming up on stage." And the crowd goes crazy because a good crowd is going to do that. If you announce a special guest, they are going to elevate. They're going to pump up the excitement, and this was no exception. Now, Nikki and DJ are just ready to go. They have no fear. They know this song frontwards and backwards. But I'm standing there thinking to myself, I've got a bad feeling about this. I do not feel like I've got these lyrics ingrained in my head. And I look up and DJ and Nikki are already walking out on stage. So I have no choice. It's showtime. And I walk out on stage to the middle of the stage, crowd going crazy. And I draw a complete blank. It was like every single lyric that I had studied that afternoon just fell out of my head and hit the ground. I had no idea what I was doing there. I literally didn't even know what band I was in. And the music starts playing, and I am frantically in my mind trying to even just remember the first line. What is the first line? Maybe if I can think of the first line, then the rest of it will just come to me. But I had nothing. And David starts singing his verse because he was going to sing a verse and then I was going to sing a verse. And then we'd do the chorus together. And so David's singing and he sounds incredible, just sounds amazing. And the band sounds killer. And all I can think is, what is that first line? What is the first line? Well, it comes time for my verse and I've got nothing. Literally nothing. So what do? I just start singing gibberish, like I'm making up words that don't even exist in the English language. I swear to God, in my head, it felt like I was just going, skibba-dabba-dooba, halibba-nabba-looba, hanibba-nabba-nooba. I mean, it was just complete nonsense. Like, I'm trying to do my best to make it sound like the song, and I think maybe every third or fourth word might have been kind of close to the right lyric, but I don't even know what was actually coming out of my mouth. It was terrible. And I look over at David, and he's, got a smile on his face, but I'm sure he's thinking, what is this guy saying? What is going on here? And I'm just struggling and I'm dying inside, absolutely dying. And I'm looking out at the audience, and so far the audience seems to be okay. They don't seem to notice yet that I have no clue what I'm saying or what I'm doing or who I am or why I'm even there at this point. So I'm singing my gibberish, and finally we get to the chorus, and I'm like, oh, thank God, I know this part. Shout at the devil. I know this part. I can make it through. So I feel this, for a moment, I feel this sense of relief. But it was very short-lived, because then I realized, oh my God, I've got a whole other verse to get through. And so David starts singing the second verse, and he's killing it. And here comes my part. And I'm literally running out of gibberish words at this point. Like, I have nothing left. So I just start making up more crap. I'm like, I mean, I cringe just thinking about it. It was brutal. It literally would have been cooler for me to come out and start singing in Pig Latin, because at least that would have showed some technique. So in my mind, it was just a disaster of epic proportions. And all I could do was just smile and pretend like everything was fine. Pretend like I was doing a great job. And so we get off stage, and, everyone's high-fiving each other because everyone else did fantastic. And the crowd seemed to like it. But I just put my tail between my legs and sulked my way back to the bus. And my God, I'm not kidding you, I do still have nightmares to this day about that experience. But, I went back and watched that performance recently. And to be honest with you, it wasn't as terrible as it felt in my head at the moment. I think I actually pulled it off, but it just goes to show you that when you're in that kind of fight or flight situation, your mind gets completely skewed. And it's a good reminder to try to stay calm when something like that happens, because freaking out is not going to make it better. Anyway, I've actually got another story to tell you, which is equally as bad, if you can even believe that's possible. So it was one of 6 a.m.'s very first gigs. We were offered the opening slot to open up for Korn, and I believe Five Finger Death Punch was on the bill as well. So this was a huge deal for us because our single Life is Beautiful was climbing the charts, and to get to play in front of Korn's audience was just a great opportunity for us. It was going to be great exposure. Now, our band used some backing tracks just for like keyboard parts because, our productions were quite elaborate. And we didn't at the time have the money to have a keyboard player. So we used a little bit of backing tracks for keyboards and for some special effects. Now, a lot of bands do that. I know it's controversial, but we did, and I'm not ashamed to admit that. So anyway, in order to do that, you have to have in-ear monitors so that you can hear like the click track and you can hear triggers and stuff in your ears so you know where you are in the song. Okay, so it's time for our set. And we all get up side stage and we all have our in-ear monitors in and we're ready to go. Or at least we thought we were ready to go. But our drummer, for some reason, did not get his in-ear monitors plugged in. So he, unbeknownst to him or any of us, he has nothing going into his in-ear monitors. So the track starts, and we have this intro music to start off our set. And then as that intro music grows, Nikki and DJ walk out on stage and start playing, and then I walk out a little bit later, and then I start singing. At least that's the plan. But in this case, the music starts, Nikki and DJ walk out on stage, and they start playing, but our drummer doesn't have any sound in his ears, so he doesn't know that the music has started yet. And so we're all out on stage, halfway into the intro of this song, and our drummer is nowhere to be found. Okay, so fine. We're just playing without drums at this point. Eventually, he gets it figured out, and he gets his in-ears plugged in, and he starts playing. But unfortunately, the damage had already been done because I'm starting to hear some backing tracks in my ears, which normally would be fine. But the problem is they don't seem to be in sync with what we're playing. They seem to be like ahead of where we are. Like if we were halfway through the intro, these tracks are 3/4 of the way through the intro. Now, if you have even a basic understanding of music, you know that this is a less than ideal situation at this point. Anyway, I start singing the verse of the song, and I get about halfway through the verse, and all of a sudden in my in-ear monitors, I hear the chorus kick in. I hear the keyboards and the special effects for the chorus kick in, way before I was even halfway to the chorus. And now I'm thinking, oh my God, this is a nightmare. What is going on here? And then I remembered one of my friends that was in a rock band had told me once that when you play in an auditorium, you have to be prepared for the fact there are going to be echoes. Like you're going to hear things bouncing off of the back wall and coming back to you. And so I think to myself, oh, good. Okay, nothing to worry about here. I'm just hearing some echoes. It's going to be fine. I'll just keep on singing the verse. So I sing a couple more lines of this verse, and then it dawns on me, wait a second. If this was an echo, I'd be hearing it after we played it. but I'm hearing these parts for the chorus before I'm even at the chorus. And that's when it became just painfully clear that we were in serious trouble here. I mean, this was going to be extremely hard to recover from, because at this point we are completely out of sync. So I'm looking out at the audience, and the audience is totally confused. And this was our big break. This was our moment, to go out there and show this audience that we are worthy of being there. And instead, I'm just crumbling in embarrassment because we've just slaughtered our first song, the very first thing that this audience hears from 6 a.m. So it was rough, man. It was really rough. Now, we got it all together by the end of that song, and we went on and had a great set. Believe it or not, we had a great set, and in fact, we did win over the crowd by the end of that. But boy, that was shaky there for a bit. And once again, I just kept a smile on my face, even though inside it was pure agony. And, if there was a moral to these stories, and I think there actually is, it would be this. When things go horribly wrong like that, try to stay steady. Try to stay calm, even if you're dying inside. Because the reality is this. The audience may not even know, or they may be able to tell that something isn't right, but they're not feeling the deep emotional anxiety that you're feeling about it. So if you can stay steady, at least in appearance, you're going to help keep them calm. And in the end, everything's going to be okay. You're going to survive this. I promise. So those are my stories for today. I hope you enjoyed them. And if you did, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. And if you have any stories like this, please share them in the comments. I would love to hear about them. All right, that's it. Thanks so much for listening. Take care.